Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And I thought we'd continue, as we have the last couple of days, reading the gospel lesson that's assigned for morning prayer from St. Luke's Gospel. Now, yesterday we had the religious authorities trying to trip up Jesus by involving politics, right? And they asked the question, should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? And of course, they knew that if he said yes, that they would say, oh, well, he's obviously pro-Roman, and he's not really for the people of the Jews. And if he said no, then they would use that to bring up charges to the Romans. And of course, the Romans don't care about religious arguments, but boy, they sure don't like the ideas of you not paying your taxes. And so, of course, Jesus turned it around. And knowing the evil and the trickery in their own hearts, Jesus turned it around and asked them, whose pictures, gifts of Caesar's, things are Caesar's, the God, things that are God's. And of course, here's the things that are Caesar's. God's is everything, including that. So we continue now. The Sadducees, another group. We had the Pharisees and the Sadducees were the two big religious groups that didn't quite agree with each other on certain topics, one of which was the resurrection. The Sadducees did not believe that there was a resurrection, and the Pharisees did. And so the Sadducees now are coming to trip up Jesus theologically, asking him about the resurrection. Chapter 20, beginning at verse 27. Then came to him certain of the Sadducees, which denied that there was any resurrection, and they asked him, saying, Master, Moses wrote unto you, if any man's brother die, having a wife, and he die without children, and his brother should take his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. There were therefore 7 brethren, and the first took a wife and died without children, the second took her to wife, and he died without children, and the third took her in like manner, all 7 also. And they left no children, and died, and last of all the woman died. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife of them is she? For 7 had her to wife. And Jesus answering said unto them, the children of this world marry and are given in marriage. But they which shall be accounted worthy to obtain that world and the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. Neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the angels and are the children of God, being the children of the resurrection. Now that the dead are raised, even Moses showed at the bush, when he called the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he's not the God of the dead, but of the living, and for all live unto him. Then certain of the scribes answering said, Master, thou hast said well. And after that they durst not ask him any question at all. Now, you said well, as the Sadducees said it, but boy, he didn't believe it, did he? Because he's talking about the resurrection, and the Sadducees just don't believe that that's going to be true, even though Jesus is trying to show them that in the scriptures, the idea of resurrection existed, at least in Moses' time. And of course, we know from the book of the prophet Ezekiel, the idea of the valley of the dry bones, right? Can these bones live? And of course, God can breathe life and bring resurrection to life. And so, but they want to trip him up. And Jesus basically has to say, look, you don't get it. You don't get what heaven's about. And I know we all have these idealized visions of what heaven's going to look like. And my Fido, my favorite dog, will be there. And I'll be so happy to do this and so happy to do that. And I've got news for you. Dr. Peter Crave, my favorite author, he has a wonderful book called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Heaven But Never Dreamed of Asking. Talks about the fact that heaven is going to be so wonderful because we're just going to be in the presence of God, that all those things that we think are important, like for instance, whose wife will this person be, compared to being in the presence of God, which will be so much more amazing that we could even begin to fathom, that these things are secondary. These things are tertiary, right? Compared to being in the presence of God. And so, the Sadducees trying to build up this whose wife will she be? But she said 7 husbands. Jesus is like, psh, you've missed the whole point of it. It's eternal life with God. And that'll be enough. That will be enough. So today's Thursday, 9 o'clock Holy Communion. I do hope you can join us either in person or where you're watching this meditation being live streamed. And I hope that your Thursday is full of blessings.